Hi everyone, this is Jim. Welcome to this postmortem of my Blitz game number 696. My opponent kicked off with e4 and I went for d5, the center counter defense. He took, which is the main move, and I played knight f6. This is a sideline I like to play. And my opponent played this unusual move here, bishop b5. It's not a bad move though, it's pretty interesting. I saw this in an over-the-board game once and I was very surprised the first time I faced this because I didn't know what to do. So well, let's take a look at this. The first move is sort of forced. Yeah, you could block with the knight, but it's a little more active to block with the bishop. And he shouldn't take. He should retreat the bishop. And the most sort of annoying move here is bishop to c4. If he just retreats the bishop back to e2, you can go ahead and grab the pawn. Let's see, is there anything else? Yeah, just bishop e2, you take the pawn. He can play d4. And you get your bishop, reposition this bishop outside the pawn chain. I guess that's one key idea in this, is that you've moved the bishop once to block his bishop. He's going to move his bishop a second time to preserve it, typically. And so you're free to move your bishop a second time, and this is not a good square for that bishop. So you want to find the time to reposition that bishop, and you should be okay in this variation. But I think right here, it's a little more interesting to play with the b5. This move has the funny idea that you want to get this pawn back. And if he tries to hold on to it, well, let's go forward a few moves. First, you get the bishop out of the way with tempo on the queen. So now you're threatening to just take that pawn back. And you should be fine. So white holds on to things by playing f3, kicking the bishop again. And then if he continues to play like this, say with g4, trying to keep the pawn, gaining some tempos on the bishop, and with the idea of kicking this knight away, right here, if he kicks it away, the knight can just take. So he brings this knight out first to defend. And then he's threatening to play this pawn forward, and you don't have time to bring your knight out and round this pawn up. So things seem a little bit awkward, but then this is the moment where you can throw the b-pawn forward. So you hit his knight before he hits your knight. So if we go back to this position, that after he plays bishop c4, throwing in that move b5, that's a little bit of preparation for this line where white tries to hold on to his pawn and chase your knight away before you can take it. So anyway, a little bit of opening theory in case you play the Scandinavian and you ever face this line. First block with the bishop, and then after his bishop moves, there's this b5 idea if he goes to the c4 square, and also the idea of repositioning your bishop away from that d2 square and not worrying about the loss of time. Anyway, he makes my job much easier by just taking, and so now I'm just equal. This is like a fine outcome for me, and I stay this way, pretty much equal for a while. So let's go on some moves. I go for the fianchetto setup. There were other ideas here, but this is an okay way of playing. Castled. I get this in. Play d4. It's logical play from white. I castle. Plays bishop e3, securely defending this pawn. I went knight d7. I went queen to c1. You're looking to line up like this. And played knight f6, bringing the knight over the king's side to defend, which is not a bad move in general, but it seems like this was just a little bit too slow. At this point, white can gain a lot of tempos by kicking my queen around, which is what happens. So the chess engine is recommending right here, instead of moving the knight again, throwing in c5 and undermining the center. And let's see, brings a rook over to defend. You bring the queen over to this square, and it seems like a fine square for the queen. And the c-pawn is well defended. So that's a game. It would still be about even. After knight f6, white starts to get the advantage here by kicking my queen around. Kicks it here. Let's see, I drop back. He plays bishop to f4, kicking it again. Went to c6. Brings his knight into e5. And I bring my queen back here. And now finally he plays bishop h6, which I'd been expecting for a while, wanting to trade off my good bishop. Let's see, I play c6. I want to try and get some counter pressure on the center. So my idea is to restrain this pawn and then put some pressure on it. And let's see, he takes, I take, and he brings his queen out. So white has the advantage here. White has more space, and he's getting some pressure on my king side. And really that turning point was when he started getting in those tempo moves against my queen. That's what changed the tide in white's favor. It's pretty even up to then. Let's see, I throw knight h5 in here, which is not bad. And he should just drop his queen back to e3 or d2, and he still keeps an advantage here. I can get an f6 to kick his knight away. So it's a playable position for black as well. But anyway, instead of doing that, what he did was he played queen to g5. And this just loses a piece, which I spotted immediately this time. It's nice to be able to find those tactics when they first occur. That's certainly what you should always strive for. So now he drops his queen back to e3 and moved too late. And I'm just a piece up in this section of the game, and I should go on to win. Let's see, it's a pawn for the piece, so the evaluation is about -2 in black's favor. So let's go forward some moves. I keep the edge here. He tries to get some counter pressure on my pawns and pieces, but I managed to hold on to everything. Kind of removes some pawn cover around my king, so it's good strategy for the side that's down in material. Wants to try and complicate things and get an attack going as a way to compensate for just being down material. But he allowed me this simplification, getting the queens off, and so this should make my win pretty straightforward. See, I took here, took my queen back, and so let's see, right here, I threw in rook to d2. I didn't want his rook coming into the second rank here. Oh, that was rook d7. I threw in rook d2 going for the counterplay, and I allowed his rook to the 7th rank. And it was still okay. It was still winning. I should play king g6 here, defending my knight so that my other rook is free to move. And if he grabs a pawn, play rook to e8 and threaten to come down here and mate on the back rank. And that's best play for black in keeping that -2 advantage. Instead I went king h6, just not quite as accurate. He took the pawn. And now I completely blunder the game away here. I play knight to g4. Actually, I thought when I played this move that I was threatening mate. I guess I had in mind the knight on the f3 square, which does threaten this Arabian mate, they call it, with the knight and the rook. The knight here supports the rook to h2 and also blocks the escape square on g1. And so that is a mate. But knight to g4 is just a check. And in fact, I'm losing from here on out. So instead of, let's see, instead of knight g4, let's see, the engine line goes like this. King h5, giving up, well, is a trade of pawns. He takes a pawn, I take a pawn. He has a check. And then dropping my king back to g6, once again defending my knight, which is where the chess engine wanted me to go in the first place. And it rates this position as better for black. But, well, he's got 2 pawns for my knight. We're getting to an endgame. There's certainly drawing chances for white here. It's not all over by any means. But, well, after knight g4, it actually is over. and not in my favor. So he just takes the rook. I grab a pawn. But there's no real follow-up. You know, I'm hoping for some kind of draw by scooping up enough pawns and getting a rook versus knight draw, but that just doesn't seem to be happening here. I did get it down to just 1 pawn, but he's got enough pressure with his 2 rooks against my king, rook, and knight that it's hard for me to hold on to everything. And also I need to get my king over here to stop his pawn from queening. So he did a good job of combining threats. You know, he has always this threat of queening this pawn, plus direct threats of attacking my king and my pieces with his rooks. And the combination was too much. And in fact, this is now losing at this point because, well, this check is just threatening to win my knight. I have no way to defend it. And the block doesn't work because he exchanges off and then pins my knight, and I can't get back to defend in time. So I played on a few more moves just in case there was some drawing idea here. But This is pretty simple, a pretty simple win for white. So I resigned finally. So hey, nice win for Chasley. A little bit of revenge for the times that I've beaten him. So good going, and I hope you guys like this video. Leave any comments you have in the section below, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.